check it out.
What's up, everybody? Super WRX fan here for another weekly update. So, what's new with the BRZ? Not much. I've been thinking about plasti dipping some stuff black just to kind of play around with it and see how it looks. But if you have any suggestions of things you think would look cool with plasti dip, let me know, and maybe we'll try it out one of these Fridays and post the results. So, but yeah, other than that, nothing new with the BRZ. As far as the channel's concerned, though, I want to thank all of you that liked the Facebook Super WRX fan page and voted on the poll that I posted this past week about what car you'd like to see me review. I only have access to a limited amount of cars, so there's certain cars you guys have been wanting to see, like the Hyundai Genesis and the Mustang and things like that, that I can't get my hands on just yet, but eventually I will, hopefully, and I'll be able to review those cars for you. But anyway, I posted up a list of the stuff that I could review, and you guys all said, the majority said you wanted to see the Honda CRZ. So I reviewed the Honda CRZ yesterday, and I'm going to have a busy weekend, so I'm going to try and edit it throughout the weekend and post it up by Monday night, hopefully. But it was a pretty impressive car. I'll just leave you with that little teaser. But thanks again for voting, and if you haven't gone and liked the Facebook page, definitely go and like it. You can literally just tell me what it is you want me to film and what you want me to review, and that's the way it goes. You guys decide the content for this channel. I just bring it to you as best as I can. You guys tell me what you want to see, and you'll see it. So yeah, that's about it as far as channel news is concerned. I want to answer a question that a few people have asked me already. They say, you're a Super WRX fan. Have you ever even owned a WRX? And no, I haven't, actually. I've never owned one, never drove one for more than an hour or two. So why haven't I owned a WRX? If I love them so much like I do, you would have thought that I would have wanted to buy one. Well, I made this channel back in 2006 when I was 16 years old. Back then, the WRX was my dream car, and I was planning on buying one in about a year or two after I made this YouTube channel. And turned out that at the place I was working, there was a Legacy GT Spec B traded in, and I never thought I would ever own a Spec B just because they were $35,000 brand new, and I like the Legacy, but I like the WRX more. Whenever this car got traded in, though, it was hard to pass up because the deal that I got on it was so good that I paid about as much as I would have paid for a WRX the same year, and the Legacy had 250 horsepower versus the 230 that the WRXs had back then. So it was faster, it was more luxurious. You had the red leather seats, the moonroof, navigation, all that stuff, and it was just a really good deal. Plus it was one of 500. They only made 500 of those with the red leather and everything. I love that color combination, the silver with the red leather. So I just decided to buy it because it was an awesome deal. And then, you know, eventually I fell in love with the car, and never really bothered me that I never owned a WRX. So that's the reason why. But actually, that wasn't my first car. The first car that I only owned for about 6 or 9 months. It was a car that my parents had given me, and if you guys are interested, I'll make a video next week about what it was that I drove for my first car and what it looked like. I can post up a few pictures, and it's slightly embarrassing, but that's what happens when you're 16 years old. You just make the best of what you got. So yeah, it was definitely a fun car as well, though. But yeah, so that's why I've never owned a WRX. I mean, I'm not ruling it out. I might pick up one of the new 2014 or 2015 WRXs whenever they come out, if, you know, they really impress me. But still loving the BRZ. Have no plans of getting rid of this thing anytime soon. Really love it. So yeah, that's about it. So I'll send it back to me at the desk for the news. Right, so for this week's news, the first thing I want to talk about is Subaru has released a sports pack for the BRZ in Australia. And before you get excited and want to get your hands on this kit, it's really not as sweet as you might think it would be. It is basically just the STI parts catalog. They just threw the whole parts catalog onto the car. So this has carbon fiber chin spoiler, carbon fiber side skirts, it has some fancy STI rims, carbon fiber rear diffuser, a red engine start button, and a fancy shift knob, and
then as far as the performance modifications go, it has STI coilover suspension, and then it has a strut tower bar, which really doesn't do anything. So that's the extent of the modifications, really. And the crazy thing is, I mean, Australians pay more for a BRZ than we do here in the US. So a BRZ costs around $34,000 US dollars if you wanted to go and buy it over in Australia. So prices on everything are a little higher there, but this kit is still $7,000. Doesn't add a single horsepower to the car, doesn't do anything except make it handle a little bit better. $7,000 for a bunch of STI stuff. I mean, STI parts literally cost like an arm and a leg. It's ridiculous how much STI stuff is. If you want to do these same modifications, just go to the aftermarket and you can get coilover suspensions way cheaper, tons of rim designs so you can find something you want, you know, all these cosmetic modifications. You can get knockoffs and things like that. So this is just extremely overpriced. I don't see anyone in Australia getting it, considering it's already super expensive to buy a BRZ there anyway. I think the last thing people say is, you know, let's add another $7,000 onto the price for a few little bits that hardly even make it look different. So yeah, and I know a few people have continued to ask me, is there any news about the 2014 BRZ and what's going to be changed and all that? And really, the car's selling so well, I wouldn't expect anything to change. Honestly, Subaru can sit back and relax for at least a year or two, because this car is still selling extremely well, and so they don't need to do anything to it, and they're going to continue to sell. So I wouldn't expect any changes this year. Maybe next year you'll see the convertible. They might do a light refresh, you know, in a couple years, but for now they're just going to keep it the way it is, I think. And so yeah, but the 2013 model year is going longer than usual, considering they started making them early in the spring last year, and we're now into the summer of this year, and it's still the 2013 model year cars. So I think 2014s might be coming around middle of September is what I'm hearing. No confirmation or anything like that, but so that's it as far as the BRZ news is concerned. The other thing I want to talk about is the Jaguar Project 7, and basically they took an F-Type and made it look like the D-Type. For those of you that really aren't familiar with Jaguar history, the D-Type was basically an E-Type that was a racing version. It had this fin, it was a one-seater, it looked really cool. So they did basically the same thing to the F-Type here, and although this is just a concept car, that doesn't mean that this is going to be totally irrelevant, because you can see this is basically what an F-Type R version is going to look like. You know how Jaguar always has the XKR and the XKRS and, you know, the XFR and all that. So they're going to do an F-Type R, I'm sure, and it'll probably look pretty close to this. You'll see it has larger air intakes in the front. It has, you know, a spoiler in the back. It has bigger rims, has carbon fiber side skirts, carbon fiber rear diffuser. This one, of course, is the one-seater, which you're not going to see on the R version, I'm sure. It'll be the same two-seater. They'll get rid of the fin in the back. But this is pretty sweet, and it's also, you know, been even more horsepower than the previous version. So this car has 550 horsepower from the same supercharged V8 that currently puts out 495 in the F-Type. So that's a healthy horsepower bump to a car that I thought didn't even need more power anyway. So that's going to be quite the hot car. I'm not sure when that's going to come out, but give it a year or two, I think, and it'll probably be here. And the last thing I want to talk about is Novatec, who normally tunes only Ferraris. They got their hands on a Lamborghini Aventador and went nuts. And this is actually one of the good-looking kits for the Aventador, in my opinion, though. I mean, they just took what is already a good-looking car and put a few pieces on it just to enhance it. It doesn't look gaudy or detract from the standard classy Aventador look. It still looks like what you would expect a Aventador SV to look like, really. And they also have some power kits that can give you like 22 more horsepower or give you 969 horsepower from a bi-compressor version of this. And so they know what they're doing apparently with the motor as well. This is going to be one fire breather for sure. And who knows how expensive it is, but of course, if you're asking how expensive it is, you probably can't afford it anyway. So yeah, it looks pretty sweet though. I like the way it looks. So yeah, guys, that's it for all the news I want to talk about. So I'll send it back to me in the car.
All right, so I'll leave you with a nice little acceleration, like I always do. Guys, a few little accelerations or a little combination with the overpass and stuff. Sounds awesome going through stuff like that. Anyway, I'll catch you guys next week. Take care.